Hi guys, in today's Fight Site interview, I have the pleasure to interview Dyah Davis, the boxing coach of Dustin Poirier. As Dustin is fighting Dan Hooker in a couple of days, I wanted to talk with Dyah Davis about the improvement of Dustin's boxing, so his work with him, and about the Dyah Davis background, how he come into boxing and then into MMA, and his work with other fighters like a Gillian Robertson. But mostly we're going to talk a lot about Dustin Poirier, so check it out.
Well, I actually started boxing late. I had little to no interest as a kid. My passion in sport was basketball. So from the age of 12 on to about, I don't know, 12 from the age of 12 to 17, I thought I was going to be a professional basketball player. I played in my high school, and I was pretty good there. And then once I got to college, I wanted to continue, but that didn't happen. My mom, she wanted to relocate, and I didn't want to go with her. Being that I was 17, going on to 18, I decided I wanted to attend a community college in Long Island in New York, and she wanted to move upstate New York. And upstate New York is very country, and I knew it just wasn't for me. So I decided that I was going to stay, and I stayed, and I went to school. So my hoop dreams went out the window because I had to get a job. So I got a job. College didn't work out for me. I just wasn't into school at that point. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was working as a manager at a tuxedo company. So I was, handling weddings and proms and so have it. And then a few years into that, I just knew this wasn't the direction for my life. I wanted to do something else. So I was watching a heavyweight fight between Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko. This was Lennox Lewis's last fight. And Vitaly Klitschko was called short notice, on like 3 weeks notice. And he was doing very well with the champion Lennox Lewis at the time. And I said, man, I think I can do this. I can box. I said, I could be heavyweight champion of the world. At the time, I was 228 pounds. So I was a little on the heavy side. So I felt that I could be heavyweight. So I called my dad up, and I said, I called him the day after the fight, and I said, Dad, I want to box. And he, his reaction was like, box what? Like, what do you want to box? Oranges and grapes? And I said, come on, Dad. And I said, no, I want to box. I think I can do this. I think I could be heavyweight champion of the world. And he said, son, you're 6'1", you're 228 pounds, but you don't belong at that weight. You need to lose weight, change your diet, and start running. And ultimately, that was my first test to see how serious I was about the sport. So I did that. I ran for about 4 months. I ran 6 days a week, running 3 miles a day, 6 days a week. And in 4 months' time, I got my weight down. I dropped 45 pounds. I got down to about 183, 184 pounds. And at that point, he knew I was serious about what it is that I was seeking out to do. So he says, look, come on down. I'll give you a 2-week trial. If I think you got what it takes, if you got what it takes, then you can stay here in Florida. I was in New York. And if not, then you're going back home. So I said, all right. So I packed my stuff up, came down. He gave me a trial. He liked everything that he saw. And that was it. That's where my story began. So I trained for about 8 months. I didn't fight amateur. At the time, it was an Olympic year. It was 2004. And I knew ultimately if I was going to try to achieve the same things that he achieved, which was going on into the Olympics and winning a gold medal, I would have had to wait another 4 years. And at the age of 23, I knew I didn't have that time on my side. So I didn't want to start a professional career after trying to win the Olympics at 27, 28 years old. So we decided to get my experience in the pros, picking my opposition accordingly. And then each fight, my opponent got better. Each fight, my opponents gradually got better. So that's how I got my experience. My experience was basically on-the-job training.
Hey, it's funny that you come from a boxing family but started basketball. And do you feel it's because as you grew up, there was so much boxing all around you that you kind of like was not that interested because it was all over the place because your grandfather used to box, your uncle also?
That is correct. My grandfather fought. My father fought, obviously. My uncle fought. My uncle was very good as well. He was I believe, a two-time National Golden Gloves winner in New York, and he also went on to fight pro. He retired 5-0, undefeated. But my uncle moved on into law enforcement. He knew that he felt after 5 fights, he felt that boxing wasn't for him. So yeah, it's definitely in the bloodline. But as a kid, I just had no interest in it. I remember, the trials and tribulations, like the ups and downs that my father went through in his career. And I remember for his last fight, I was 15 years old. This was in 1996. He had made a comeback at the age of 38. And then he fought a guy out in Boston, Massachusetts. The opponent's name was Dana Rosenblatt. And that was his last fight. And I remember before the fight, there was a story on Dateline on how some boxers received some traumatic injuries, brain injuries. And I'm like, man, who the hell would ever want to do boxing? Like, a lot of fighters, I won't say a lot of fighters, but a good percentage of fighters walk away from the game with, without the same faculties that they walk in with, slurred speech, just concussions and, guys, forgetfulness and all that stuff. So when I thought about it at that age, at 15 years old, I said, man, who the hell would want to do boxing? This is crazy. Like, who would want to live with traumatic brain injuries? So I immediately, at the age of 15, eliminated boxing. I was like, man, hell no, I would never do that. That's crazy. And then 8 years later, here I am calling my dad up, feeling as if I could be heavyweight world champion of the world.
This Lennox Lewis Klitschko fight that kind of gave you the love for boxing. When you start loving boxing, is there some fighter that you grew up watching a lot and liking a lot?
Oh, 100%. Obviously I watched tons of my father's footage. I watched Evander Holyfield, Sugar Ray Leonard, of course, Pernell Whitaker. I was watching like very crafty fighters, like guys who I wanted to model my career after. So I would watch like students of the game, guys I could learn from. James Toney, Salvador Sanchez.
Oh, great.
Pernell Whitaker, if I didn't mention him already. Let's see, who else?
Yeah, like the Roberto Duran, the guys like this, very crafty boxer.
Yeah. Crafty boxers, man. Then I started watching like guys who had nothing but like highlight reels, like Roy Jones. He had like a highlight reel of a career in the 90s, of course. The guy would, throw jumping hooks and jumping right hands and then roll under, just as magnificent in the 90s.
Yeah, it's funny because like Roy Jones Jr. was probably one of the best athletes to box. And he has like crazy athleticism, and other guys like Salvador Sanchez, they were very, very technical and super crafty. And so,
very
if I'm correct, your first connection with American Top Team came from your father, right? He coached some MMA fighters.
100% correct. My dad was originally the boxing coach at American Top Team. And, he was responsible for some of the hands of the early on days, like a Dennis Kang, Jesus Cavalcante, Thiago Alves. He worked with everybody. Yeah, the Jeff Munson, the earlier 2004, 2003 on till about 2010 is when my dad left American Top Team and subsequently started his own promotional company.
So after your boxing career, I think you stopped in 2016?
No, actually, yeah, I stopped in 2016, but I was coaching. So basically, when my dad left American Top Team, he said, hey, look, he's like, I understand that you're still fighting. You're still in the... Oh.
I can still hear you. It's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got a phone call. So he understood that, I was still fighting. But he says, hey, look, fighting isn't going to be forever. He says, why don't you, he's like, I think you enjoy the craft. I think you enjoy teaching the craft. I see you working with other people and showing them things that they're not too familiar with. He says, why don't you take on this coaching gig? I said, I'm getting ready to leave. I want to start my own promotional company. He says, look, Ricardo Laborio was, one of the main guys there at the time. And he says, look, I'm going to talk to Laborio. Let him know that you're interested in teaching. And what do you think? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So that was in 2010. So I've been a coach. I've been a boxing coach there since 2010.
All right. So it's been 10 years that you're with ATT now.
10 years, yeah.
And so when you were boxing through that, did you always kept an eye on MMA because your father was coaching MMA, or did you not know about it too much?
Well, being that my father was coaching the athletes, the MMA athletes, that's when I really turned my eye on MMA. Prior to that, I was, a fish out of water. I didn't understand anything about the art of jiu-jitsu and all the other martial arts, kickboxing, wrestling. But once I got to American Top Team, I started to understand the craft. I didn't actually participate in any of it, but I understood the craft. So although I didn't participate, I knew what I was watching when guys got on the floor. Like if guys were on the floor and other fans were booing, I understood that guys were trying to work a certain position to subsequently try to finish a guy, whether it be armbar or Kimura or north-south choke or, whatever it is that I was looking at. Like I understood it, I just couldn't perform it.
Yeah, but for a coach, it's very important to at least understand it because it changed your boxing, your job as a boxing coach. You're not coaching 100%. Boxers. So you have to sort that it's only 4 ounce gloves, that you can set up takedowns with over right hand, stuff like this. So I guess being around a lot of talents in ATT probably help you catch up with your MMA knowledge quickly because there's so many people there.
Right. Yeah, I think it's very important as a coach to understand the different elements of the game. Like obviously a boxing stance is going to be a little bit different than a mixed martial arts stance. Like in a mixed martial arts stance, you have to defend kicks. You have to stand probably a little bit more square. You can't stand as skinny, as I call it, skinny as most boxers stand. You like to stand skinny, present less of a target. So I try to blend in both worlds as best as possible without compromising too much of their art.
I got to bounce up on what you said as soon as you say square, because now I have to mention Dustin Poirier, who's often square when he has guys against the fence. And he's more, because the movement is different in MMA and boxing, he's very good at cutting the cage and hurting people. And once you get them on the cage, like if someone just come from boxing will watch, they will be like, but his foot are almost on the same line. He's too square, but he's been able to create a lot of powers even in that stance.
Right. Yeah, Dustin is a big fan of boxing, man. So he incorporates a lot of his game, a lot of his influences from boxing.
From what I saw in him following on Instagram and everything, he watched a lot of boxing also. I often watch him watching like some Julio Cesar Chavez, some Duran, some Sugarway Leonard. So he's one of the students of the game also.
100%. There are times where fights are on that I may not even know about. Dustin's texting me, hey man, you watching this fight? And I'm talking about boxing. And I'm like, oh snap, I didn't even know boxing was on tonight. He's like, come on, champ, you gotta know. You gotta be up to date. So there are times where he's filling me in about the game that I'm not even aware of. But a lot of times I share with him that boxers who I think that he should be watching that are gonna help help with his game. Like I'll tell him to watch a Pernell Whitaker or a Lomachenko or just great southpaws that I think that he should be watching. A lot of times I'm telling Dustin to be working on his defense just as much as his offense, if not harder on his defense than his offense, because defense is, if not more, as important.
Well, yeah, definitely. If there was one southpaw to watch, it's Whitaker for sure. Colonel is up there, especially because even in boxing, he was so good at transitioning from offense to defense. And he's probably one of the best boxer fighting on the back foot.
Dustin, he can. You talking about Dustin?
I was saying Whitaker was probably one of the best southpaw boxer to fight on the back foot, and there's definitely some stuff that Dustin learned through the years to not only just go forward, to be able to 100%. Fight on the back foot when necessary.
100%. And I mean, a classic example is the Gaethje fight. You know, like we know Gaethje is the aggressor. We boxed, we moved. He got hurt with some low kicks, obviously. But what's funny is that one of the things that we worked on, I mean, as a boxing coach, I'm not a Muay Thai coach, but I identified what some of Gaethje's strengths were, and his strengths were that low kick, you know, that powerful low kick. So even in the dressing room, I actually posted it on my Instagram, but somehow it got deleted because I shared it alongside his highlight knockout of Gaethje, and I think, I don't know, UFC got a hold of it or what, but it ended up getting removed from my Instagram. But I was throwing low kicks and working on countering the low kick with a straight left hand down the middle. And that's what ultimately got Gaethje hurt. That's what initiated him off balance, getting hurt, and Dustin ultimately finishing him.
Yeah, actually, Dustin in that fight, he did a good job a few times to check the kick and counter with the left straight right away. But in the one you mentioned, the last left straight that started everything, what I love about it is that so he landed a good jab, and then he feinted the jab to do the reaction that Gaethje would land the kick and timed the left straight perfectly, right on the chin. And I was like, that's so good that he became good enough to even draw a reaction from opponents while he's on the back foot.
Right. And that's another thing that we've been working on. I mean, there's been times where Dustin has hurt a guy, and instead of, you know, trying to break him down and get him out of there without any problems or even compromising his position to where he can get taken down, we've been working on being very patient, taking our time, and making sure we can get back to how we hurt him and then ultimately putting him away.
Yeah, I feel like the first Alvarez fight is the perfect lesson that could happen to him.
100%.
Because he got caught by that left hook that he should never be caught with.
Right. Agreed, 100%. And that's a classic example of hurting a guy and then running into something of your own, you know?
And in the rematch or even against Holloway, he learned from that lesson for sure.
100%. That's why Mr. Poirier is a student of the game.
Dustin, what's up?
What's up, brother?
Speak of the devil.
Hey, Dustin, we need to get you on for the podcast, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. For sure, I'll get down.
That would be dope.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, that definitely even against Max Holloway, Dustin did a much better job when he went against the fans that in former fights.
100%. Patience, man. Patience is key. Patience is a virtue.
And
you gotta understand, once you get a guy hurt, you gotta do the same thing on how you got him hurt. So if that means if you position yourself and you were patient behind your jab, you know, that doesn't mean get reckless and then try to put the guy away.
And you know, when you start working with Dustin, he was already like a pretty good boxer for MMA. Like you already had like a good background, but you worked with other athletes that have no experience in boxing. And can you talk about what is the first fundamental that you work with them?
The foundation. I mean, you know, we work on foot positioning. We obviously start with the basic jab, the cross, the left hook, making sure the chin is down, the feet are positioned correctly. Feet are positioned right under the shoulders. Feet should be shoulder width apart. You know, a good foundation, good basics go a long way.
Because you know, like even you when you start getting into MMA, was it tough for you to understand the difference between the 10-ounce glove and the 4-ounce gloves, and why some fighter wants to overextend so much because it's so tentative, you know, to knock out someone because the gloves are so thin?
Right. Yeah, no, I understand. But at the same time, like, you can't overextend. I think some of the rules that are in boxing also apply to MMA as well.
Oh yeah, you come from
definitely
boxing
don't want
first.
to overextend.
I always get mad
caught
when I see people overextending, but yeah, I was gonna say like for example, Jillian Robertson, you work with her, I think.
Jillian Robinson, yeah.
Well, she just started kickboxing late in her career, and she's more like a great grappler. And she says she improved a lot her striking lately. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, Jillian. Basically, with Jillian, we just had to go back and work on her fundamentals. Just taking it back to the basics. Not really working on a lot of advanced things with her. But we're just keeping things simple, making sure her footing is right, her hands are where they need to be. She's moving her head after she's throwing punches. She's thinking of incorporating her defense into her offense. So once she's done, she has to, you have to obviously think that or expect that you're throwing, but something's coming back at you once you're finished throwing. So.
Yeah, actually, I had an interview with her like 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned that like we were talking about her fights like in chronological order, and you can see like that. What I loved about it is that she tries to only do like fundamentals correctly and not to do crazy stuff. Like often people, the grapplers, you must have seen that grapplers that start boxing and kind of fell in love with the boxing and try to do stuff too complicated.
Yeah. Well, we know where her strength is. Her strength is obviously her grappling. So
of course,
we just want to equip her boxing well enough to where she can get to where she performs at a high level. And that's on the ground.
Yeah, she is for sure. And even like I forgot which fight it was, but there was like some jab feinting, some lateral movement, which is so important. And so I'm very excited to see her fight next.
Sorry about that, man. I lost you.
No worries at all. Are you guys gonna start walking anyway?
Yeah, Dustin's getting ready right now anyway. So.
All right. So before you go, I was just asking you, can you talk about Boca boxing?
Sure. One of the things I always wanted to do was open up a gym of my own. Once I retired, and I think the news of the expectance of my son just gave me more drive and motivation to do that. Like I always wanted to have something of my own, and that was it. Once my wife said she was pregnant, I said, you know what? It's time to do it. If I don't do it now, then I'm never gonna do it. So.
How old is your son?
He is 16 months today.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. 16 months today.
And
no, there are times where we train here. Obviously Dustin's here now, and the American Top Team they're still closed, but they're open for the professional fighters.
Okay.
But like I said, I've been here a year now, so there are times where we mix it up. Sometimes the guys just like to get out of the environment of where they train everything. Like they do their kickboxing there, their wrestling there, and you name it. So their strength and conditioning. Sometimes when you're entering the same environment, it gets a little stale. So sometimes guys like to vary it up and just mix it up a little bit, just get a little bit of a different look. And a lot of the guys that I'm working with just like to appreciate the breath of fresh air sometimes. So sometimes I mix it up, I'll go there, or sometimes we'll just stay here.
2 fights coming up, right?
Yeah. Let's see, George is getting ready for his fight. It's not contracted yet, but they're thinking in April. July. Dustin's fighting the 27th.
Yeah.
Fighting Dan. And then I started working with Randy Costa today. He actually just came to check us out. He's giving us a trial run. I think he likes the gym. And I also worked with Charles Rosa, who was called on a short notice fight. I forget the name of his opponent, but he's going to be fighting in about 2 weeks. Charles Rosa is actually just coming off a fight himself, so no better way to get the bad taste out of your mouth than just to get back in there and try to get a W.
And you got Jillian Robertson who's fighting soon too, I guess.
Yes, Jillian Robinson. She's fighting in Canada.
Yeah, it was supposed to be in Canada, but I guess he will be on the Apex in Las Vegas. But it was supposed to be in Canada at first, yeah.
Right. That's correct.
And it's funny you mentioned Randy Costa because I did an interview with him like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And he has a pretty funny style. Actually, his style is pretty interesting because he kind of put everything. Please go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was saying he put a lot of stuff that are very interesting, but he mixed it up together, kind of like in a very unique way. You don't see many fighters who moves like him. He has kind of like some awkward movements and took some bits from fighters left and right. It's pretty interesting how he fights.
Right. Yeah, he's got a great style. He's got an interesting style. I think it's going to be very, very exciting. But I'm not trying to. Sorry, I got some construction happening in the house. But I'm actually just trying to capitalize. I'll go outside. Give me 1 second, pardon me. Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem at all, man.
Yeah, no, he's got a very friendly style. He's a striker, so I'm only gonna look to improve on his great attributes, man. Just a couple things we need to tighten up with him, but I think he's got the goods for sure.
Did he do just one session, or is he gonna stay a little bit?
Yeah, today was our first session.
Because actually, when I interviewed him like a few weeks ago, he was in Florida, but just because like his parents, they have like a home there, and I mentioned if you wanted to go to top team to ATT, just to train a little bit, he said maybe he just checked around, but that's pretty cool. Right. And actually, well, so from every interview that I did, from fighters, coaches, he was one of the most analytical person I talked to. Like I even sent him some footage of his own fights, and he broke it down. And it was super cool to. So, like for example, there was like a few sequences from his last fight that were interesting, and I said to him, and he broke it down like, he made his opponent draw the right hand so he can counter stuff like this using hip feint, jab feint, switching stance, stuff like this. So it was very cool to have someone who's willing, to share the secrets a little bit. And yeah, that's cool that you got someone like him.
Everyone relatively trains like the same thing. It's all about how you get off what it is that you'd like to get off. You have to be like tricky in certain instances. If you want to look to throw a jab, but a guy's got really good defense, obviously you want to try to feint to put him in a defensive posture to be able to get those strikes off. But for the most part, it just boils down to IQ and what you're gonna do to get those inhibit and get those strikes off.
Basketball, we talked about this before. You remember like in the 2000, the San Antonio Spurs, the way they played with like Tim Duncan.
Yeah. They were a dynasty. Yeah,
everybody
they were very boring. They were very boring to watch, but their fundamentals were solid.
Everybody knew what they were going to do, but the execution was so perfect that you were not able to really defend against it because there was too many sweat all around. And I feel like in boxing or MMA is the same kind of thing. Sometimes at some point, at some high level, it's more about how sharp you are and how well it's executed or well it's timed that you cannot really defend it.
Right.
And so you mentioned you're going to train with Jorge for his fight?
You know what? I work with him a little bit, but I mean, he's got his trainer. Every now and then, when his trainer's not available, I'll try to fill in for him. But he works with Paulino, who's been his striking coach for God knows how long. But they work very well together. And whenever Paulino's not available, then I'll step in.
Yeah, I think since the first time I watched Jorge fight, like long time ago, he was already with him, so it must have been for like more than 10 years, probably.
Exactly. Right.
But I know that Jorge they spar with Dustin sometime.
Say it again.
Jorge Masvidal and Dustin, they spar a lot together.
Oh yes. Actually, they worked together last week Thursday. They sparred, and it was great. It was good work.
I said one time to Jorge in the tweet that I will pay a lot of money to get those tapes just because they are both very, very good boxers. It must be cool to watch them. Watch them both go together,
Definitely like a pay-per-view event, and you're watching it for free.
So about Dustin, you mentioned he has like that fight. I think it's official, right? That he fought Dan Hooker.
It is official. I don't know if it's been announced publicly, but it's official. It's happening.
What do you think about the matchup?
I think stylistically, Hooker is he's a game opponent. He's very solid. He can be tricky at times because he does like to switch from orthodox to southpaw. I think when he tends to go in his southpaw stance, he doesn't offer much. He offers like a high kick, body kick, or a straight left hand. But other than that, he really doesn't offer much out of that southpaw stance. His defense is very poor in the southpaw stance. So I think, we're just gonna bring the best Dustin Poirier to that night, and we're gonna keep it close quarters, and we're gonna look to take him apart.
You got 5 rounds or it's 3 rounds? 5 rounds, right?
It's 5 rounds. It's scheduled 5 rounds.
I hope it is 5 rounds. I hope it is.
No. It's the main event. It's scheduled 5 rounds.
Okay, perfect then. Yeah, because I'm often frustrated with like great matchup when it's only like 3 rounds. I often want to see more. So I guess 5 rounds is pretty good. I think it's a pretty good matchup for Dustin too.
Absolutely. I think, like I said, Hooker's a game, solid guy. And, his experience. I think he's got like close to 30 fights. So it's definitely a solid matchup. Yeah.
Hooker
has a 6-fight win streak, right?
And he has like a fun profile in the division. He's very long, which is not always the case in the lightweights division.
Right.
And
6 foot.
Yeah. And I think it's a good fight for Dustin to come back after the Khabib fight.
Absolutely.
And I was wondering, like for so many years, Dustin, he fought with that hip injury that he had for like 3-4 years, maybe. I'm not even sure.
Yeah. Easily.
And obviously, the hip injury handicap is kicking game. Like that's why he never be able to get that high with the kick. Do you think the hip, now that it's fixed, it will help his boxing too? That he gets a little bit more movement?
He's doing things with his hip now that he wasn't even doing before. Like during some of the sparring matches, we're like, damn, well, where did that come from? But we obviously know that, his hip has been repaired and back to 100%. He said he feels better than, prior to no injury with the hip, like when he had a regular hip. I'm like, oh, you just a bionic man now, huh?
Because I could be wrong, but that's how I felt, when I watched Dustin footage. When he's in the center of the octagon, he felt that he could not go too long in exchanges and he had to reset from time to time. I thought maybe the hip injury was part of it because he could not lean too much on his left side. Maybe I could be wrong here, but that's how I felt.
No, possibly. I mean, the hip has been compromised for some time. So, obviously, like when you've got something that's compromised, you just learn to fight through it. Just kind of deal with the pain. He's been doing that for years. But now he no longer has to do that. So
yeah, actually, when I think about it, I talked about it with Phil, his strength and conditioning coach, about the training with the pain. And I was like, Dustin, fight streak that he had at lightweight, from the Jim Miller to the Max Holloway victory, is like one of the best fight streak there is in MMA. And he did it with, the win streak that Dustin went from Jim Miller to Max Holloway is like one of the best there is in MMA. It's like one of the best 5 win streak that there is. And it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy that he did it with only one hip.
I know. Isn't that, and that's impressive, man. Considering those names, you got Max Holloway, you got Eddie Alvarez, you got Pettis. I mean, all good quality former champions, Gaethje, all quality guys, man. So, yeah, I mean, that goes to show you.
I think the last time we spoke, it was just before Gaethje fought Ferguson. It was like a few days before. What did you think about Gaethje's performance against Ferguson?
To be honest with you, I still haven't seen the fight. I've only seen highlights. I was trying to stream it on my Fire Stick that night. I didn't want to pay for it, man. I was being the cheap route. So I was trying to stream it on my Fire Stick. I got like the first round, and I guess they got hit to me and just shut me down.
Well, there's a good chance that Gaethje and Dustin, they will fight again in the future. You will have time to watch it at the time, but it's a very, very good performance. It's crazy how he went from being that just pressure fighter to become a great counter fighter, counter striker, and it's very amazing. I think from someone from boxing, you will enjoy it for sure.
Right, yeah, I heard he definitely did fight with a different type of IQ. I think his mindset is always just bring and force the action without kind of reckless abandonment. And I think going forward, and especially after the Dustin fight, I think he realized, like, you know, that always kind of forward aggression is not always going to get you the win. You have to be tactical. You have to be smart about, you know, how you're trying to expose a guy or essentially knock him out. So, you know, I like to see that. I like to see guys grow and elevate from their experiences and their losses. So, yeah, it should be an interesting matchup if we happen to get that fight again.
Well, talking about moving on from mistake or experiences, just last time we spoke, we were kind of interrupted by Dustin just when we were talking about something, is that it's interesting to watch the two Alvarez fights that he had, because in the first one, Dustin lack of patience, it's kind of rushing stuff, got him to get caught with a left hook. That kind of, since then, everything went bad in that fight with the knee and everything. And we kind of agree he should not have been caught by that left hook at the time.
100%. Yeah.
And actually, if you watch the finish of the rematch with Alvarez, he's still like pressuring a lot, getting the left hand on the open and near the cage, finishing the fight. But he ducked under like a right hook, and he even feigned through the combo, which made Alvarez hesitate to counter, because he didn't know when Dustin was in and when he was out. And I was like, oh, that's so great to see someone improve that much and learn that the last time he was in that position, he made a mistake.
Right. Yeah. So it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that. Like, we've talked about that in sparring. I mean, obviously in sparring, it's just practice. You're not really looking to put guys away. But, you know, like instances have happened like that in sparring. Like, he'll clip a guy and he's, you know, kind of like not looking to go for a finish, but just trying to apply a little bit more pressure. And he'll end up getting, you know, run into something in the meantime. I always told him, this is prior to the Eddie fight. And then it happened in the fight. So it happened firsthand. You know, he actually got a real taste of experience in a real fight. So, you know, it's one of the things that we talked about. And he says, you know what? You mentioned this to me before, but going forward, if I get Eddie hurt, when I get Eddie hurt, I'm going to be patient about getting him out of there rather than just running in with reckless abandonment and getting caught like he did in the first fight. And sure enough, you know, he went out there and proved it. And not only did he say it, but he went out and proved it as well. So, you know, it was like a proud moment.
Yeah, that's what I was going to for a coach. Must be like, yes, we got stuff together there for sure. And the finish in that one was amazing. And especially against a guy like Alvarez, who's so tough, who's always been under the fire and being able to come back when he's hurt. It's great that he was able to finish him like this.
Yeah, some guys are like that, man. You back those guys up into a corner that they don't want to be in. Those guys come alive, man. So you just got to be careful. Eddie Alvarez, he's game all the way till the end.
Always, for
the
sure.
The guy gets hurt. He could be on shaky legs. Shit. Sometimes I say when guys are on shaky legs, they're on rollerblades. Or they got ice skates on. They just don't know it. Automatically, they're in an ice rink somewhere and they're just slipping, but they can still land one of those dangerous punches.
You know, talking about what you say pre-fight to the fighters and what advice you give them and what you see, can you talk about the scouting you do before the fights? Do you watch a lot of tape, or do you talk more with Mike Brown about just game plan and don't watch too much tape?
Actually, we'll all watch tape together. You know, so Dustin will watch tape. Well, like I said, we'll all watch tape together. But he'll watch tape with us, but we'll no longer watch tape going forward. Like, basically, he's seen what he needs to see, so he knows what he needs to do. The rest is on the coaches to strategically plan and, you know, operate to get the decision or result that we're looking for. So, you know, me and Mike Brown will continue to watch tape going forward. Like, it was like a couple of weeks ago, we all sat down and we met up on a Sunday and we all watched tape. We must have watched like 5 or 6 fights of Hooker, for example. And then after that, you know, that's it. Dustin, he got what he needs. It's in his memory bank now. He knows what he needs to do. The rest is up to the coaches to practice on what we'd like to get done in the fight.
Mm-hmm. And talking about your relation with Mike Brown, do you feel sometime in the corner, like when you corner a fighter, whether it's Dustin or someone else, it's very important not to say too much also, because your fighter, you know, as you're a former fighter, you probably know this, that you cannot receive like a lot of information at the same time, because you're trying to get your breath together, you're trying to to recover?
Absolutely.
To just
So
go
normally,
to
when the bell rings, the fighter comes back to the corner. Give him a few seconds to breathe. Let them get their water. You know, you want to make sure that when they're sitting down, like they're at a point where, okay, now I have your attention. Because, you know, you come back to the corner, you're just coming from a scramble, or, you know, you could be in a position where you're on the ground, you come back to the corner, ding, ding, ding. Well, okay, let you get your breath, get your wind together. All right, once you got your wind together, you got your water. After about 10 seconds goes by, all right, now it's time to talk. And basically the talk is just fine details. You want bullet points. You don't want a summary of things to do. Like just give me what it is that you see, what you think I need to do. Okay, I'm done. Mike Brown will talk. That's it, bullet points, and then you go back out and take care of business.
the more you get to know the fighter, the easiest it gets, right? Because you know how
Right.
they react to some stuff, like, and you know how they perform under whatever, or they react to what they say, so it gets easier. But at first, it must take a bit of time, right, to know, or like to poke someone, or to make them react, or to talk to them. Like some fighters,
Absolutely.
they don't mind if you scream at them. Those, they will shy away from it, stuff like this.
Yeah, no, some guys are more sensitive than others. You know, yelling at a guy in the corner, hey man, why are you yelling at me? Hey, relax.
Yeah, and
some guys need to be smacked. Sometimes my dad used to smack me in the corner sometimes, you know. Like there will be a times where I'm just fighting not to my ability, you know. I get back to the corner, no water, nothing. Wow, smack me. What are you doing? Oh shit. All right.
it works sometimes.
Sometimes it works. It all depends on the relationship, you know.
And about Dustin, do you feel like probably the best fight he ever had, or the best performance he had, was against Max Holloway, the rematch? If you take account the quality of the opponent and how well he performed that night?
Let's see. I would rate Max. He definitely performed well against Max. I think he also performed very well against Gaethje, you know, considering like Gaethje was definitely chopping away at that leg, and you know, he still happened to come back and still box beautiful. Honestly, the Gaethje fight sits a little bit more with me because I felt like it was a proper boxing match. You know what I mean, with 4-ounce gloves on. Yeah, great fight. Both fights. Obviously, with the Max fight, you know, he walked away with the interim title, probably the highlight of his career. So I'm gonna say about 50-50 between Gaethje and Holloway.
Yeah, I love both of them. The Gaethje fight, it really feels like a war. Like, it's so dangerous. Every minute you're like, I got them, it's gonna stop here. And
Right.
Holloway is more like a brilliant, technical, masterful fight from both of them.
Exactly.
Like, you know, they scored that fight like pretty wide for Dustin, but I felt Max did well in that fight also.
Oh, absolutely. There were a couple times he was on a defensive moving. A couple times he was on offensive. So he definitely switched up his game plan quite a bit. So Dustin didn't know which Max he was going to get, going into another round. It was like you just kept changing it up, which was awesome.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite fights in UFC, the one with Holloway, because I like Max a lot. Also, I love his style. I think he is so good. I think he was so good at the time. Now he's a little bit down those days, but we'll see when he gets back up.
Yeah.
But that fight for sure, it was interesting to see, because there was a lot of people before the fight that believe that Dustin will lose the pocket exchanges, and he actually did not. He was so sharp in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about Dustin, you know, that people always say he's a good boxer, which is true, but he also used some like weapons that will not be said are correct, like in boxing. Like, for example, you know, when Holloway circles towards Dustin right side, he will get that leaping lead hook that leave him wide open, but it works.
Right.
Do you feel, as you come from boxing first, you have to let some part of freedom to your fighter, that, you know, they use stuff that works for MMA that would not work just for boxing?
Absolutely. I mean, there are times where Dustin will throw like a wide or overhand left hook, but then he'll go orthodox and then throw a right cross. So yeah, obviously it's just a little bit different. Like, or again, he'll throw like an overhand left, and then turn it into an orthodox jab. So some things work better in MMA than, that don't transition over from boxing, but work well for MMA.
As long as it works for MMA, that's the most important point.
Exactly.
I guess that was the biggest challenge and most important thing for you when you start coaching, not to think boxing, but to think boxing in MMA.
Exactly. Keep an open mind. Sometimes these guys have something that they identify with that works for them. So like I said, I won't change up a fighter per se, but I'm gonna try to add to his attributes, his good attributes.
Jillian's next fight.
Okay.
Because she's someone who's improving on the feet, but she's not yet at the level.
Right.
She's on the ground. She's on the ground for sure.
She's amazing on it. Amazing on the ground.
Amazing. I love to watch her on the ground. And actually, I had an interview with our coach, Dean Thomas, and we talk about, it was awesome. He's super smart. We talk about everything you do is just for MMA. You don't want to be just a good striker, like we mentioned. And he was like, he loves that she understands that and that she doesn't need to become, like Lomachenko. She will never be that. But she needs just to have enough striking to be at least comfortable on the feet, not getting tagged too much, like not letting your hands go back to your hips after a jab, stuff like this, correcting mechanics.
Just a solid base. A solid base. Obviously we know that striking is not her forte. She's getting better at it for sure. But, her game is ground. If she gets you to the ground, she's a grappler. So we want to strengthen her striking enough to where she can manipulate the fighter to get them where she ultimately wants to be, which is the ground.
That was my ultimate question, was that do you feel she already reached that good level where she can at least draw reaction from her opponent and then time some takedown, some like single legs, because she will draw the opponent to jab, by feinting, stuff like this? She's already there?
Absolutely. No, she's there now. I mean, I'm confident in that, to say that she's there now. We've been working that quite a bit, and she's doing it quite a bit in sparring now. So I'm excited to see her next fight. I'm excited, to see everything transition from gym to now fight.
Yeah, Sam, I'm very hyped to see her fight because I know I think she's not ranked, or she used to be 15, but I'm willing to bet that in the next 2 years, she'll be top 5. Like on the ground, there's nobody that can, maybe the champ, but apart from that, there's nobody that can deal with her. It's like super impressive.
Absolutely.
So, and
yeah, she was within the top 15 now, but the opponent that she's facing is now ranked number 15. So, after the 20th, we'll have a ranking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and she seems to be like one of those good students of the game, just willing to train and learn. Super humble too. So I wish her the best, and I'm sure she'll do pretty well.
Thank you so much.
One thing that seems to be just only from a few years ago, decades, is that it seems that losing in boxing is the end of the world. Where in MMA, it's all right to lose. Losing is not that important.
It's very unfortunate that that's the mindset for most of the, I wouldn't say the enthusiasts, but it just sucks. Like for the fan out there, they say, oh, he's got a loss now. Like, oh, I'm done with him. Like, you can't be that. You can't be like that. Like you look at some of the UFC guys, some of the Hall of Famers, some of them have double-digit losses, bro. You know what I mean? 14, 15 losses, 11 losses. A guy with 11 losses in boxing is considered a bum. And, it's just unfortunate that that's the case. I mean, you look at a guy like Manny Pacquiao, he's got 8 losses. But, I mean, he's for sure a shoo-in, first-time ballot Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. I mean, look how many times he's champion in several different weight classes.
Yeah, 8-weight world champion. So even though if he lost 8 times, yeah. But for sure.
Come on. In boxing, not everyone's a Floyd Mayweather. Some guys have off nights. Obviously, in boxing, you don't want to have an off night, but sometimes it happens.
And that's why it's always great when you see guys with like 4 or 5 losses getting back there, because they learn from experience and they correct mistake and they come back.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's always very enjoyable. And is there like some big names that you really like nowadays?
In boxing?
Yeah, just like a few fighters you really enjoy to watch or study a little bit.
You got me on that one. Let's see. You know what? I like Teofimo Lopez. I do like him coming up. I like Devin Haney. I really like the lightweight division, man. That's a very exciting division. You still got Lomachenko there. Let's see. You got Tevin Farmer. Who's the guy that just beat him? This is Jojo Diaz. So the lightweight division is very exciting. The heavyweight division is shaped up quite a bit over recent years. Yeah, I'd say honestly I have my eye on the lightweight division more than any other.
Actually, I love the lightweight division too because I wrote an article about Teo Lopez before he fought Comey. Richard Comey was good also, by the way. And because now that he lost, everybody say he sucks, but now he's a good boxer too. And but Teo Lopez is pretty interesting. And I hope that fight with Lomachenko is gonna still happen because it was supposed to happen like last month.
Did they have a scheduled date?
Yeah, it was supposed to be May 30, like 2 days. It should have been 2 days ago if everything was plain. And now it starts to be, doesn't look that good that it happens. It would be a shame because I feel Lomachenko in his a name, in his resume, and Lopez is definitely like a big prospect who's legit.
Sure.
And it's an interesting fight because Lopez is so big at lightweight and he has that big power. And of course, it's a good test for him to face one of the best in Lomachenko.
Right. Yeah. And you got Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, coming soon and serious about it. And I used to be I'm a big Gennady Golovkin fan. It just that is old now, so he started to be a bit less and less easy for him. Yeah, but he had a great career though. It was fun being a fan of Triple G. And do you think that there's a few? Is there like a few MMA fighters you love to watch also? Doesn't have to be right now. It can be in history.
Let's see. What do I like right now? Yeah, it's really not a brain buster, but I'm just trying to think. Off the top of my head, who do I like right now? I like Adesanya. He's very exciting to watch. I think he brings exciting fights. He's very smart, good fighter IQ. And I mean, even though like he got beat up by the fans about the Yoel Romero fight, I think he fought a smart fight. Essentially, you just want to go out there and make sure you got the W. Yoel is very, very explosive. You don't want to get hit by anything that he brings because you get hit by something like that, it could be an early night. And obviously, the objective is to keep your title, keep winning, and you may have a shit performance one night, but at least you won, and you go out and have a stellar performance the next time out. But ultimately, just go out there and win. Not every fight is going to be fan-friendly, rock'em sock'em, barn burner,
Yeah, and even more than losing, it's not like you basketball. It's not just you lose. It's that losing against Romero is you're going to lose brain, and you're going to have brain damage. You can lose a lot of stuff. He's so dangerous. Like, you see what happened to Whittaker. After the two fights, with him, his body break. Like, it started to be tough. And so I understand completely, like, the way he fought. I always say, of course, me, I love, like, crazy fighters, like, like Arturo Gali, stuff like this, because every fight, just crazy fights. But as a pro fighter, it makes sense to fight like Adesanya did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, listen, man, I get it. Guys want to be safe. At the end of the day, your fighting career it's not forever, People got a family to go home to, and they want to, make sure they retire with all their wits intact and still be able to speak properly and, not have the shakes. Yeah, man, no. It's a lot that goes into the fight game, man, so.
And also, I feel sometimes the fans, they are a bit tough on fighters because, like, if you watch Adesanya's fights so far, all of his fights are super entertaining. They were just this one. Or, like, the matchup didn't make it great. It wasn't a good fight, but it happens.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's stylistic matchups that turn out to be as exciting as you thought they would be, Just guys don't match up well stylistically.
And but I like Adesanya because he's like a perfect example of how to transition from another sport to MMA. Mm-hmm. Like he's a world champ, top pound for pound kickboxer, And when he joined the UFC, everybody was like, "Oh, he's gonna get out grapple and everything."
Right.
And he's dope.
That's amazing. That's amazing, though, to me. It's like, I think MMA is probably one of the only sports where guys can come from another sport and do relatively well in. It just baffles me. Like, look at somebody like Greg Hardy, you know, NFL player, comes into MMA, making headlines. So it's just very rare. Very, very rare. It's probably one of the only sports where you can do that, you know.
Yeah, there was like some other example. I feel at heavyweight also, Travis Brown, he used to play basketball. Walt Harris used to play basketball too at pretty high level. He almost got drafted so in the NBA, so he was like pretty high level athlete. You got like many guys like this who become MMA fighters from other sports. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I try to give other looks and everything. And I could not see someone. But look, like even Jordan, when he moved to baseball, he wasn't a success at all, you know. Like,
not at all.
And he was
didn't even make it to the majors.
It's crazy. But that's great. So you're pretty busy this month, I guess, because you will travel with Dustin for his fights.
Right.
Do you know the location, or is it not?
It's gonna be in Vegas. It's going to be at the Apex Center.
Okay, so it's not Fight Island, not yet.
No, Fight Island.
Not yet. Okay.
I think they'll probably have fights scheduled for Fight Island, but I don't think any will happen in June. That's just my take. Dustin will probably be the last fight before Fight Island.
So just before I let you go, on Fight Week, do you fly at the same time as Dustin, or do you meet him a little bit later in the week?
No, we'll all leave together as a team.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you left the day after the fight?
Yeah.
Even if there's always?
Always. Yeah, I mean, knock on wood, we've never had to stay an extra day due to injury or anything else like that. But yeah, typically the fighters go home the next day.
All right. And thank you so much for the time today again, man. And hopefully after that series of fight, we can break down their performance and chat a little bit if you have time. That would be awesome.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Thank you so much, man. Pleasure talking to you as always.
Always. Have a great day.
Thank you. See you, brother.